Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we usually go back and check out a Netflix original film in the order of release. But today we have a very special bonus episode where we are looking at Netflix 2023 comedy drama. It's called You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. It's directed by Sammi Cohen. It stars Sunny Sandler, Samantha Lorraine, Idina Menzel, Jackie Sandler, Adam Sandler, Sadie Sandler, Dylan Hoffman, Sarah Sherman, Dan Bulla, Ido Mosseri, Jackie Hoffman, and Luis Guzman. I am Jesse. I'm here solo for this special bonus episode. So, if you're keen on checking this new Sandler comedy out, give us a pause and come back later on, because I'm going to sort of get into it and probably talk about some key things in this film. Don't want to spoil it for you. So, we do start the show with the Fast Flicks, where we do a quick summary of what the film is all about. So this one is about two girls fighting for the attention of a boy while also preparing for their bat mitzvahs. Intriguing, interesting. I jumped on board with this one straight away because super keen to check out a Sandler film, and obviously he sort of Adam Sandler takes a little bit of a back seat in this film and lets his daughter Sunny sort of take the lead, and we'll probably talk a little bit throughout about this, but intrigued. Hopefully you are. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously another one of those films that Sandler's got in his deal with Netflix, and this is a little bit different to what we're used to, so I'm keen to talk about it and probably kick off with how this ended up on Netflix, I guess. So we go to 2022, where Netflix announced that the 2005 young adult novel called You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, written by Fiona Rosenblum, would be adapted by screenwriter Alison Peck into a feature film of the same name. This was to be directed by Sammi Cohen and star Adam Sandler, and then principal photography kicked off on the 29th of June 2022 in Toronto, Canada, and it lasted until August the 11th. So we took, the directors sort of got a lot of quotes out there about this film. So Sammi Cohen said on her joining the project, she said she just finished her first feature called Crush, which was a coming-of-age comedy that was very much normalizing the queer experience. And she said, okay, I made a movie for the gays, and I really want to make a movie for young Jews. And she said she was really interested in these parts of her own identity that she wanted to see more of on screen. And that sort of coincided with Adam Sandler looking for a young Jewish director who could relate to the story. So Adam had the rights for this film, and he wanted to see, the culture, the kids, and how it needed to be told through a modern lens. So that was Sammi Cohen on joining the project. She then also went on to say that, when she was creating her own style for this film, that she felt the spirit of the film really celebrates the spirit of films like Clueless and the John Hughes catalogue and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And she said that her production design was really informed by those films. Like in the Friedman's house in this film, Stacy's bedroom is a homage to 16 Candles, and their kitchen to Ferris Bueller. And she said she thinks she always loved that coming of age genre. And with this film that she's made, she said you'll find a lot of nuances of indie filmmaking, but those big classic comedies as well. She said, they referenced Shiva Baby, Mean Girls. There's a lot of John Hughes sort of things in the movie theater and the marquees and things like that too. So a lot of little Easter eggs in the film and references to where she created her style as well. This is Adam. This is shocking, really. I couldn't believe this. This is Adam Sandler's first feature film where it is directed by a woman, since Tamara Davis directed Billy Madison all the way back in 1995. So crazy. I can't believe the amount of films he's done, and this is only the second film since 1995 where we've got a female director. Sadie, who plays Ronnie in this film, is Adam and Jackie Sandler's oldest daughter, and in 2019 this is sort of relating how the Sandler kids involved in this film and the family, and how it all actually means a lot to him, because Sadie had her own bat mitzvah, and having a pretty famous dad like Adam Sandler, he was able to pull a few strings, and he ended up getting Adam Levine and Maroon 5, his band, to perform for her bat mitzvah. And Adam Sandler went on to say that he texted Adam Levine and he said, "Really sorry to do this to you. My kid's getting bat mitzvahs on Saturday night. Would you mind coming and singing a few tunes? It would be great." And Adam Sandler said, he didn't know why he did it, but then he, on his phone, he was looking, those dots come up immediately, like that he's about to respond, and he said he got it, and he's about to say something, and then Adam revealed later on that he showed up and he played 3 songs. So Maroon 5 at your bat mitzvah is pretty exciting. And then the same thing with Sunny, the youngest daughter here that we see in this film too. Just before they started filming this movie, she had her own bat mitzvah in May of 2022, and it was held at the Hillcrest Country Club in LA, and had a candy theme, like we sort of mentioned in this film as well. big guests at this one too. We had Jennifer Aniston, Taylor Lautner, a few other celebrities, and the musical performers they had was Charlie Puth and Halsey. So, I guess it pays to have some super rich parents at times to get some celebrities for your friends to all hang out with at some big parties. This film, the only other translation around the world, I guess, that sort of stood out in Chinese, and I really like this title. The title of this film is "I sincerely do not invite you to my coming of age ceremony." That was a really good translation for this film. What else? So it hit Netflix on the 25th of August, 2023. Mentioned it was filmed in and around Toronto and Canada. What are the critics and audiences saying about this one? I think pretty positive so far. Still very early on, but it sits at 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's on 42 reviews, so definitely fresh. Audience has it, still fairly high, 72% on over 100 reviews. IMDb, only about 2.2 thousand ratings so far. Sits at a 6.1 out of 10, so positive. Letterboxd, again, nearly 8,000 ratings, but sits at a 3.1 out of 5, so solid. Metacritic, again, positive. It's in the green for audiences. Sits at a 71 on 19 critic reviews, so that's out of 100. The audience, it's out of 10. It's on a 4.4 out of 5 out of 4.4 out of 5, so that's in the yellow section. So fairly positive reception so far. Obviously recording this early, so it may change. But for me, what are my early thoughts? I think that this is a teen film done well by Netflix. I think too often than not on this show, we've covered some pretty ordinary teen Netflix films. So this one's got great performances, nice storyline, nothing that feels too unrealistic, which is something that is quite common in a lot of these Netflix films, real unrealistic moments. Sunny Sandler is a star in the making. She's amazing in this. Really thought her performance was great. So I'm on board with this film. Let's talk about the characters. Some of the characters in this film. So Stacey is our main character. She's this young girl who dreams of having this lavish bat mitzvah on a yacht with the world's biggest musicians, and she does everything in her life with her best friend Lydia. They've been besties forever. They're doing preparation for their own bat mitzvahs together. The issue is this boy, I guess. Stacey has this crush on this kid Andy, and we sort of see along the way that her friend Lydia maybe sort of has some feelings for him as well. But realistically, these two girls, they're not part of the cool group at school, but they're there for each other. Stacey's no good at writing, so Lydia's doing her bat mitzvah speech for her, and in return, Lydia's entrance video is being done by Stacey for her. So we know that doesn't go too well as well if you've seen the film. But the idea, these two are there for each other the whole way through their life. And this film is about their conflict, I guess. Bree and Danny are Stacey's parents. Bree is Idina Menzel. She's the mum, and she's supportive. And we've got Danny too, who's a really awkward and embarrassing dad, I guess. But like I said before, it's nice to see Adam Sandler sort of taking that seat back and allowing his kids to shine. Because often in Adam Sandler films, we see his kids as like these little cameos in the background. Ronnie is Stacey's sister. She's a good sister. She likes to poke fun of her at times when she can, alongside her best friend Zara. They both make a bit of fun of Stacey, but she's also very supportive and there for her sister too. Lydia's the best friend, sort of spoken about her. Her parents are called Gabby and Eli. They're going through this massive divorce, and always her dad, Eli, is sort of on the prowl a bit. So trying a bit of humour there in his, trying to find a new partner. Andy's this little man whore that the girls like, I guess. And then Stacey does have some side friends, I guess. Nikki's this redhead. There's a girl called Tara. There's the cool girls, Kim and Anya and Megan. And then Rebecca's the bat mitzvah teacher at school. And I guess she's really awkward. So they're the sort of characters that we see in this film. There's also a DJ who's been in a few Sandler films too. The director, Sammi Cohen. Talk about her a bit. I think, a lot of TV series that I hadn't heard of. Biggest credit is this Hulu film from 2022 called Crush that I mentioned before was her feature debut. So up and about, getting out there, getting some films done. Let's talk about scenes. What are some scenes that I enjoyed in this? What are some ones that stood out? So I think Danny, Adam Sandler, the dad, his awkwardness was great throughout. I think especially as a dad, there's some moments there where he's talking about his daughter's periods and, making jokes about them lasting for 7 months and sort of calling his daughter Stacey up on the phone to ask her if she needs tampons and is it a heavy flow, is it extra chunky? And he's like, oh, sorry, I got confused. I was getting peanut butter. Like, those moments made me laugh. And then there's the moment where he actually buys them and leaves them on the bed for her, and the sister Ronnie's like, well, they look like pillows, they're that big. So that was all humorous. I found that funny. I think Stacey being so focused on Andy at the start at school that this soccer ball just hits her in the face. Bit of physical humour. I didn't mind that too. Stacey wants to prove herself. She's, they're at this big cliff and there's a lake underneath, and she wants to prove herself by jumping in, and then she jumps in and then her pad falls out and all the kids are laughing at her about it looking like the Red Sea. Humorous. Awkward for her, but humorous. I think Ronnie, the sister, I like that, there's a moment where she's just talking to her parents and she mentions, she doesn't want to do anything on the weekend because she's so tired from being at school all week. Really relatable as a teacher. I thought that was a nice little line. Stacey going onto social media, to sort of get back at her friend Lydia, and the idea that she posts or goes on social media to post this Year 7 sort of TikTok thread to post rumors about Lydia having hairy nipples just felt real, like super real. That's the sort of thing that teenagers do. So I thought that was a nice little inclusion. There's a moment where Stacey's sort of making this video to get back at Lydia, just sort of to let her frustrations out. And there's some nice memories, lots of bad memories, and there was this moment when they're younger and they sort of queef on people's faces. I thought that was funny. We've got Stacey in the store at one moment with her mum trying to find a dress for a bat mitzvah, and Lydia's sort of there, and it's like awkward, and her parents are there bickering, and then we sort of see Adam Sandler is sort of there lying asleep, and it's quite funny because Lydia's dad's talking about hooking up and he's interested in Stacey's mum, and his ex-wife's like, she's married, and Danny, the husband, he's there, he's asleep, and he must be asleep because he's so exhausted from being a good dad. I thought that was really nice. Danny, the dad, he has this argument with Stacey over getting caught kissing Andy in the synagogue. Just the argument between the two while Lydia's mum is downstairs at the door talking to the mum. Just these comments about the idea of Jewish people not getting breaks, and him ranting about, the reason that they fought the Nazis, and his disappointment in her. Like, why did she pick Andy as the one? And then sort of finishes off with, I hope you die. So that was humorous. I thought that was funny and well done. Danny dragged Stacey to her bat mitzvah ceremony. That was funny. And her speech was quite good too once she got there. Finally, at the end, we've got this big party, big bat mitzvah, and there's this kid from a previous one who wanted the song Don't Stop Believing to be played. And then, in this last one, the DJ's like, I'm going to play Don't Stop Believing, and this kid's like really happy and everyone else is really quiet, and then the DJ's just like, I'm not going to play that song, you nerd. That was funny. I thought that was good. Those things that didn't stand out, I guess. Rebecca, this teacher, she sort of made everything into a song, and she makes this, the kids are sort of asking about life and God and things like that, and she sort of turns that into a song. I didn't really like, there was a good chance, I guess, for them to actually talk about faith and talk about beliefs and things like that, and they missed that opportunity, although there was a line in her song that sort of mentioned that she's had an 11-year yeast infection, so that was pretty funny. There's this modelling shoot that Stacey does with her friends. Still get some photos to send to Andy. It was a bit awkward, but I didn't mind the idea that she used it as bait for Andy. So again, a little bit iffy. Mateo, this character Mateo, is this little kid, sort of like this dweeby kid that always gets in the way. And the whole idea of him being so wholesome and the obvious guy that Stacey was going to come around to, even if they didn't fully go there in the end, it just felt too obvious. And finally for me, I think Stacey, she pays the parking meters in this scene that was in the middle of the street. She's trying to do good deeds, being a good person, putting coins in all the parking meters. I just thought it was a poor scenario. Didn't really add anything to the film. What's it trying to say? What are some themes? What are some ideas? This is definitely, it's a coming of age story. I mean, the idea of becoming an adult, learning who you are, who you want to be in the world, and then also having to deal with your parents' expectations at the same time in school and study, and at the same time too, you're going through puberty and what comes with that too. So a lot of difficult things for kids growing up. Lots about Judaism and the faith, and learning about Hebrew beliefs and the community and family and coming together, faith. Everyone has their own thing, and then we have ours was a great line from the start. Bat mitzvahs, they're very important. They determine the rest of the life for a young person, or they believe that it does. So it's such an important ceremony. Social media is used in this a lot. I think that, the way that teenagers use it and how it plays such an important part in their world and their belonging, I think that's really done well in this film too. And then finally, that idea of friendship, the importance of having a good friend, bouncing back from disagreements, girls sticking together, doing the right thing, being side by side throughout life. I think that was really nice too. What did I take away from this one? I think I feel like I'm talking about music a lot in my takeaways, but the music in this, it was very recent. And I think it is still a positive, even, if it's not a memorable soundtrack like a lot of those classic teen films that are the classics now, I guess. But I think that it'll be looked back on in future years and they'll say, yeah, it was a good job, because a lot of the time the lyrics and the songs were making a connection to what was actually happening on screen. So I think, big tick for the soundtrack in this film. Questions, ponderings. Only thing I want to ask from this film. At each of the bat mitzvahs, there's these girls, they sit there and they're watching horror films on their phones because obviously they're bored. And in the last party, they're watching The Shawshank Redemption. I don't know. I don't get it. Are they saying that's a horror film? I don't know. Like, I feel like it was weird because we saw like It and a whole bunch of other horror films, and then they're just watching Shawshank. I thought that was a little bit weird. Or was that because they now had guys watching it with them? I'm not sure. Maybe that's it. All right. I think we're ready to wrap this up. I think we're ready to put it together. We give the films a rating out of 5 on this show. So for me, this is great. I think it's well worth the watch. It's a teen film that sort of should be one that's seen as something a little bit different and breaks the mold a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of like stuff in there that you see in films that it feels different for me, and it sort of breaks away in particular from the rubbish teen films that Netflix put out, especially in this genre. So I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 for me. Decent film, worth a watch. Get on board. We've got socials. We've got X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Question. This is a good question, I think, that I want to ask. Who was the worst friend, Stacey or Lydia? I think that they're both bad, but I don't know who was worse, was Stacey or Lydia, because, Lydia knew Stacey really liked Andy and ended up being with him anyway, but in the same way, Stacey was still a pretty awful friend as well, so I'm sort of not sold. I don't know. I can't tell the difference. Anyone got any strong thoughts? Let me know. As always, thank you for listening. We have a huge back catalogue. We have a new episode every Wednesday. It's getting close to 300 episodes, or 300 Netflix original films that we've done on this show, so get on board, check them out, and I'll see you Wednesday. Thanks for listening.